Today we will be building what I have dubbed the Dawnbringer, a character of my own creation known to appear to us mere mortals as an animal or other wild-shapen creature. This character is built as the Night Song's counterpart, whereas the Night Song is an in-your-face paladin. This is a backlines, sneaky, radiant goddess that's going to be blasting people and blessing people from the backlines. When we start to build our character, you have your choice of race. This is a character that I have created, so pick whatever you want. I'm going to go ahead with half-elf because I like that half-elf wood elf because I like that little bit of extra movement, but you can go ahead and pick anything you want. If you want the extra cantrip, go ahead and select elf. If you want that dragon breath, go ahead and select dragonborn. The choice is up to you. Personally, I think full elf, high elf probably makes the most sense because they have that sort of oh, holier than thou vibe that fits the sort of radiant goddess very well. As far as our starting class goes, we're going to go with cleric, and that means we have a lot more choices than most starting classes. For cantrips, I went ahead and grabbed Sacred Flame because obviously we are a radiant goddess. It makes perfect sense. I also grabbed guidance because if you don't have a guidance character, you're basically just giving up a free d4 on every single conversation in the game, and then the last choice is probably yours. You can go ahead and select Blade Ward if you ever want to use that. I don't personally use that in battle. I usually find that it's better to just kill things than wait. So I'll go ahead and grab resistance for those occasional times outside of battle when I need a d4 bonus to a saving throw. As far as subclass goes, I picked the light domain because we get a couple nice features from that. At level 2, we're going to get a domain feature that I really love. But at level 1, we get Fairy Fire, which is nice, as well as a close combat AoE, which is nice. And we also get the subclass feature Warding Flare, which will be extremely useful early on for this character. This is going to be a more squishy character, although they are useful. They can wear light armor or medium armor. The lower dex means that it's not going to be anything but a squishy character. So Warding Flare, being able to impose disadvantage on your enemies, is fantastic. As far as deity goes, like I said, this is a character that I have envisioned born immortal of the same womb as the Night Song, born of Saloon. This is sort of the counterpart to the Night Song, so I have Saloon as the deity. The background is going to be Acolyte. I think that's the only reasonable choice for the way that I've envisioned this. If you want to have any other proficiencies that you want, you can go ahead and pick. But for the sake of this role-playing build, serving your life in service of the temple, or in my case, literally to the exact god Saloon that I was born from, or that she was born from, the Dawnbringer as an acolyte makes perfect sense. Now, as abilities go, we're going to go ahead and dump strength and charisma, so this is not going to be your face character, and we sure as hell ain't going to be in the front lines. Dexterity is just at 12 so that we don't have any penalties to dexterity. We just get that +1 to initiative rolls, which will be a little helpful to make sure that we're not going last. Constitution's at 14, so we have a reasonable chance of maintaining concentration, and then intelligence and wisdom are as high as we can reasonably get them. If you wanted to go ahead and do something like this and do grab the hag hair and push this up to 18, you could of course do that. Or if you wanted to do well, you could do it the other way around as well. If you wanted to do something like that and use the hag hair to push it up to 18 early on, you could, but there's only one hag hair, so I can't count on that being used for every single character that I make. This is going to be a character that dips into wizard, so intelligence will be important. As far as our skills go, we don't have a lot of choices here. I think medicine and history make a lot of sense. We'll just go ahead and choose whatever you want. Like I said, we kind of ran out of choices there, so we don't have a lot of options. And then as far as prepared spells go, this is, like I said, a holier than thou character, so I don't think inflict wounds makes a lot of sense. But of course, we are a cleric, so we can go ahead and move these spells around whenever we want. I would probably do something like this, where a commanding goddess literally coming down from the heavens and saying, "Halt!" with command. I think that fits the vibe. Bless is a fantastic spell. Healing Word is basically broken, and Guiding Bolt will be our main damaging spell early on. So we'll move on to level 2 and the actual character build and level it all the way up. At level 2 for Cleric, we're going to pick up an additional spell slot and a Channel Divinity charge. We can use that to turn the undead, or because we are a light Cleric, we can use Radiance of the Dawn. This will do 2d10 radiant damage in a 9-meter radius around yourself. It is 2d10 plus 1 damage, and that is plus your level. So it'll be 2d10 plus 12, when we are level 12. It doesn't do the most damage, but it does do a massive 9-meter radius around yourself of rarely resisted radiant damage, so you can hit 3, 4, 5 enemies at once when using that spell, which I like a lot. And it also fits the vibe of a Holy Goddess very, very well. You will get an additional spell that you can prepare, so go ahead and toss anything that you want in there, and we'll move on to level 3. At level 3, we are going to grab Wizard. So we're going to move out of Cleric almost immediately. We got Blessed, we got our Radiance of the Dawn. Those are the two things that I really wanted, and we'll move over to Wizard. As a Wizard, we get a couple cantrip options. As a Master of the Elements, I think these two probably make sense, ice and electric damage, as well as Blade Ward or something of the like, whatever you want for that third one. And then as far as spells go, you can pick whatever you want, but there are a few that fit the vibe pretty well. Shield makes sense as sort of the magical prowess that this character might have. She can toss a shield up and stop damage at will. Bringing a friend along is never a bad thing. Knocking people off of cliffs is also never a bad thing. Guaranteed damage with Magic Missile makes a lot of sense. If you don't want to wear armor, if you want to wear a robe, you can do something like Mage Armor. And then the last pick is probably dealer's choice at this point. We have a lot of first level spells, so you can select something like Fog Cloud if you want. Fits that Master of the Elements vibe. And then you do get to prepare 4 spells because we are 16 intelligence. As you can see, Sunbeam has already been learned. I'm doing this video in reverse, so that's a little sneak peek as to the full casting prowess that we have. But I would definitely prepare Shield here, and then whatever else you want to prepare as well. Shield's really the main value of Wizard. Now, at level 4, we're immediately going to leave Wizard and move over to Druid. Alternatively, you could stay in Wizard and pick up a subclass, but I find that most of the subclasses fall off pretty hard when you only have 2 levels in them. Abjuration, the Arcane Ward, will be very useful early in the game, but later in the game it'll only be blocking 2 or 3 damage per hit, and that's not going to do much. Evocation is useful if you want to sculpt your spells. It can be nice, or Necromancy can be nice to gain back some HP when casting spells, but I think it's more valuable to get level 5 Druid spells, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to move over to Druid. Now, as a Druid, we get more cantrip choices, and we are basically running out of cantrips at this point. So pick whichever ones you want, and then you get your Druid-specific spells. Maybe we'll grab Speak with Animals so that we can talk to those feline critters running around out there. As for level 2, with Druid, we're going to select our subclass here, and I'm going to select the Circle of the Land. This is the more casting-oriented circle. You can select Circle of the Moon if you want to be in people's faces, or Circle of Spores if you want to be a sort of necromancer build, but Circle of Land fits the most if you want those extra spells, and that is what we are going for. As far as cantrips, we're just going to go ahead and select whatever cantrip you want. And I did forget to mention that level 2 is when we are allowed to Wild Shape, or when we first get the ability to Wild Shape, and we also get the subclass action Natural Recovery, which will allow us to recover a free level 1 spell slot, and we get more of those as we grow, so we will be able to recover further spell slots as we continue to build out this character. We also have another spell slot, or another prepared spell that we can prepare, so go ahead and choose whichever one you like, and we're going to do the rest of this build out in Druid. At Druid level 3, as a land Druid specifically, we get the ability to choose a selection of new and exciting spells. So some of these spells are sort of old news, at least in my opinion. So if we were to select something like Arctic, these 2 spells would always be prepared, Hold Person and Spike Growth. The problem is that if we went ahead and looked at our own spell list, we can just prepare those sort of on our own. So I don't think that there's enough of a logjam as spells go for us to feel like we need to prepare these spells, or a lot of these spells. However, if you look at Underdark, or some of the other classes, there are specific spells that Druids do not learn. So for example, Druids do not learn Darkness or Melf's Acid Arrow, and they do not learn Misty Step or Web. So I'm going to go ahead and select Underdark here so that we get the extra mobility of Misty Step and an additional CC spell always prepared. And we can go ahead and move in those other spells that we wanted, like I showed before. So now we get certain spells like this. I would probably also move Moonbeam in, which it already did automatically for me, which is nice because this, once again, is a Radiant Holy Goddess. And then we'll move on to level 4. At level 4, we're going to get our first feat. And because we do not have proficiency in Constitution saving throws, I think the main thing that we need to do here is pick up Warcaster. We're going to lose concentration far too easily. We're only getting a +2 to our saves, so So this will give us advantage on our concentration saving throws. This is a key here. We only get an additional spell slot, prepared spell slot available here, and a cantrip. Like I said, we already have 1,000 cantrips, so the key thing at this level is to pick up that Warcaster and make sure we're not dropping concentration all the time. At total level 8, Druid level 5, we are going to get a key feature that sort of changes the way that this character plays, which is Wild Strike. So prior to this is definitely a backline character that can sort of wild shape if necessary to get a little XP or maybe sneak somewhere or pull something off that they couldn't normally. But now that we have Wild Strike, we get an extra attack when we are in our wild shape form, which basically means we are as viable or fairly viable on the front lines, assisting people in melee combat, which is fantastic from a versatility standpoint. Also at level 5, we're going to get an additional Circle of the Land choice here. Now, once again, there's sort of a collection of spells that you can learn. For example, we get these spells automatically. We can learn Call Lightning and Plant Growth just by going down here to our spells. These are sort of already available, so I want to avoid those ones because we're already going to learn them. And the spell that we don't get is Haste. And I really want Haste because it's one of the best spells in the game. And the two choices that allow us to get Haste are Grassland, which gives us Daylight, and Daylight is not very useful, and Arctic, which gives us Haste, and Sleetstorm, which Sleetstorm is useful, and or at least more useful than Daylight, and Haste is one of the best spells in the game, so I will pick Arctic. Like I said, we have the ability to learn some of those other really nice spells, so I would probably go ahead and add in a few that I like here. Moving on to the 6th level of Druid, we are going to get, I believe we're going to get our new Wild Shapes. Yes, we are. We are going to get a couple new spell slots. We are going to get a subclass feature, and that is Land Stride. So now difficult terrain does not slow us down, which is very nice. We can no longer get kind of CC'd by terrain effects, which is fantastic. And we get our key frontline fighters if we ever need to do so. We can wild shape into a bear if we need to be bulky. We can wild shape an owl bear if we need to be bulky. We can wild shape into a panther if we need to be sneaky. Go ahead and toss any spell that you want into your prepared spells, and we will move on to the next level. At Druid level 7, we get another choice of our Circle of the Land spells. These ones, interestingly enough, I don't think that there's any that we can't learn on our own, if I remember correctly. Oh no, we can't get freedom of movement. So if you look at Arctic, we can learn these two spells. Desert, we can learn these two spells. Forest, we can learn these two spells, although nobody wants to learn Grasping Vine. So I'll go ahead and pick up the Coast or Underdark. Those are my two recommendations. If you're trying to fill out sort of your spell versatility, you do not learn Greater Invisibility as a Druid, and you do not learn Freedom of Movement. So I would probably pick up Freedom of Movement here, because that's a nice long rest, one-time casting spell that will just keep your allies from getting caught up in things, which is very nice. And then as far as prepared spells go, you can go ahead and toss whatever you want in there. We do have a lot of summoning capabilities, so I think adding in Conjure Woodland Beings and Conjure Minor Elementals, if you don't mind dealing with having 35 people walking around on screen with you, can be very useful. And maybe a higher quality CC spell like Wall of Fire, as of course we are a master of the elements, so we need to make sure that we have our fire, ice, and electricity shooting around all the time. At level 11, we are going to get our last feat, and this one's really up to you. You can prepare any spells that you want. You get an additional spell to prepare. Like I said, this one's really up to you, so it depends. If you want to focus in on the high-quality spells you can learn from scrolls, you can give your +2 to intelligence. If you want to hone in on your Druid spells, we are going to get up to level 5 Druid spells. You can hone in on Wisdom. If you want a critical hit a little bit more often with your spells, you could do something like Spell Sniper, which is going to give you lower your critical hit, or increase your critical hit chance, lower the barrier to getting a critical hit. If you wanted to get lucky a little bit more, you could pick something like Lucky. If you wanted to go first, you could pick Alert. But I think probably the best use is adding that +1 to your spell save DC with your Druid spells. You're only going to be able to prepare 4 Wizard spells. You're going to have a lot of Druid spells, so you'll probably use your Druid spells more frequently, and having that +1 to DC from the Wisdom increase is probably the way to go. Now our last level of Druid, we get to pick our final circle of the land and of course get access to level 5 spells. Now the choices here are getting a little bit slim as you move up. There's a lot less variety in spells. There's like 50 first level spells and there's like 10 fifth level spells. So the variety is going down. If I remember correctly, the 2 spells that you do not learn as a druid naturally are Cloud Kill and Cone of Cold. I'm just going to go ahead and check on that. You do learn Contagion. So yes, you do not learn Cloud Kill or Cone of Cold, but you do learn the rest of these. So if you're going to pick one, I would recommend picking Underdark or Arctic. I think Cloud Kill stinks. It doesn't do enough damage and it's resisted by everybody. I think Cone of Cold is quite good. It's a unique large cone attack that can be very useful for hitting a lot of targets, but also not hitting your own buddies. And of course, if anybody has been near water lately, it does double damage. So I like that. And then you can go ahead and prepare whatever spells you want. I would definitely take Grasping Vine out, probably put Conjure Elements in there. And maybe if I wanted to CC a little bit better, I could do that. We have a lot of CC options, so the choices are yours. Of course, any character that can get Conjure Elemental, Conjure Minor Elements, and Conjure Woodland Beings all on one character can basically bring their own party to the fight and do whatever they want with it. So that is the build. That is level 12, and let's get into the battlefield and see what she is capable of. So here we are starting a fight in the middle of the square. I didn't give her any unique items or anything. I don't want to make my builds related to items, so she has nothing spectacular. She just has the Sparkler Staff that gives you lightning charges when you attack. That's a first act item that you can get, so definitely not OP to be displaying at the end of the game, and a little fitting of her sort of crackling potency as well. Of course, this character is a backline caster and a cleric, so some of the nice things that we get are very simple, like Bless. We can also summon a ton of people, so bringing a ton of utility as far as summoning allies and boosting that action economy. You can bless the whole team. We're a full caster, so you can go ahead and you could literally bless all your summons and your whole team, and then your standard control abilities. But I don't want to show off the sort of boring standard control abilities because we all play a caster. So what makes this build kind of different? What I like about this build is the versatility to be inside and outside of battle. Now this is a sort of physical character here, and we would normally not be too pumped that he's in our face, but because we have the ability to bop over there, we'll do that, and we can show off our Radiance of the Dawn. Now this is only 2 people, so it's not the most effective attack, but you can see normally I've been averaging between like 15 and 25 damage. They look like they both saved there. Unlucky for that one. But it's only 2 people, but there's a lot of times in this game where you're going to have 4, 5, 6, 7 people in there, and you can go ahead and drop that Channel Divinity charge and really do a lot of damage to people. And this is nice. Because of Warcaster, we get to use Shocking Grasp on people as well, which is cute. And then the key here, of course, is we have a lot of high-level spells. We could go ahead and do something like Cone of Cold or Wall of Fire or anything on this spell list. As you can see, there's a ton of spells, but the nice thing here is when stuff hits the fan, when S hits the fan and you get in a lot of trouble, you always have this sort of nice, high-quality fallback of being able to just go, oh no, there's a melee combatant who ran me down and he's got Sentinel. What am I going to do? Oh, I'll just turn into a monstrous owl bear. And suddenly, you turn the tables on these people, and we do get 2 attacks because we are a druid. You also have the ability to maintain concentration while in this form, so you can go ahead and bless yourself and everybody else, and then go around and just start wrecking people as an owl bear, which is just fantastic. It feels great, it looks great, and because we're a warcaster, we won't be losing concentration nearly as much, even though we are a frontline combatant. So even if this guy was able to land a hit on me, we would still be fine. So that's the Dawnbringer. I really enjoy making characters that are both good at casting and also good in combat. It's hard to do at times without sort of watering down the character, but I think that by giving this character in particular what that 1 level in Wizard, we can learn 6 level spell scrolls. We're all the way up to level 5 spells with Druid anyway, so we have a lot of power We can bring a lot of friends along. We can turn into an owlbear and just absolutely eviscerate people when that enemy paladin runs you down and thinks he has you cornered. Suddenly you're an owlbear, which is fantastic. So this is just a little bit of Radiant flavor that I liked, and a character that I'm personally going to be playing and role-playing as the antithesis, the counterpart to the Night Song. Where the Night Song is a paladin in your face, she is a backline, sneaky, Radiant everything. She's awesome. I personally like this build, so I'm going to be playing it soon. If you made it all the way to this part of the video, please do leave a comment if there's anything that you'd like to see. Please like the video if you do like it, and please subscribe if you would like to see more content. And feel free to get as detailed as you want in that comment section. If you want to give me like a whole vibe that you're feeling, a whole theoretical build that you want to roleplay, I will try and build it for you. So feel free to get in that comment section with any suggestions. That being said, that is it for today. I will see you guys in the future.